What is up, guys? Technicals here. Today we're going to be talking about what I would do if I got back into GPU mining. What mistakes would I have avoided? What things would I have done that I didn't do previously if I had to get back into it? And for the purposes of this video, we're going to assume that I'm going to get back into GPU mining, not ASIC, not FPGA. What things would I do to have set up for a small farm? On the Technicals, let's get into it.
The Technicals.
Now, when I was building out my farm, I was learning as I went. Things like exhaust and power and so on and so forth didn't really apply to me because I didn't have it in my head that I was going to be building out a 100 GPU farm. I just kind of got caught away in the process and started adding things on. Now, if I had started with the assumption that I would have a small-ish farm, I would have done several things in the beginning to make sure that I was well equipped to handle that many cards. Also, stay tuned. I have an upcoming video where I outline how to set up a small farm. I go through into a little bit more detail the things that you will need to do if you're setting up a small farm, if you're getting into it with the idea that you are going to indeed build out a small farm and not just a few rigs. So the first thing I would have done is go straight to high voltage, that being 208, because my warehouse is at 3-phase. I also wouldn't have even tried having it at home. I would have gone straight to a commercial space. It's easier to get electricians to install it there. It's a more rugged industrial type space, so you don't have to worry about running electrical conduit on the outside of your wall and making your house look all ugly. Or like Voscoin, he built a shed outside of his house. Now, it looks nice on his house, but not everyone's going to have a similar setup, and it could be considered an eyesore. So the first thing I would have done was absolutely positively run in 208 volt lines, several circuits as well. I would have run at least the 4. When I did it initially, I put in 1, and then I put in 1 more, and then I put in 2 more, and then now none of them are used. And so I'm expanding as we went along. You're going to be paying extra in there for the electrician to come out and install those lines. You'd pay a lot less just doing it all at once. Second thing, exhaust. Oh my God, the exhaust. If you go back through my channel, many of the videos when I had the farm and when I was changing things around, were centric around addressing the exhaust issues of the cards. Now, I got into mining when it was cold. It was November, December, January, and then the market started going down. I started making the videos. Things started to warm up in March, April, May, June, July, and that's the time period that we're in now. So a lot of people who got into mining maybe recently and haven't experienced the hot months yet, oh man, you're in for some fun times. I'll tell you what. You got to get rid of the heat from those cards, and they make a lot of it. It's way more than you think it's going to be, and it's going to be your single biggest concern in the operation day-to-day of those cards. You look at large operations, say Bitsby Trippin's farm, or even Voscoin's, or anyone who has a dedicated space for these cards. All of them have these souped up exhaust systems in place. Even Brandon Coin at one point had hydroponic grow tents in order to exhaust his hot air. Bitsby Trippin has these giant industrial grade fans. Everybody's got it because it's absolutely crucial that you get rid of that hot air. If you don't get rid of the hot air, it's going to recirculate and you're going to get heat soak in the cards, and the temperatures are just going to run away on you. The need for you to get rid of that hot air cannot be overstated enough. And so if I was doing this all over again, I would have went in with that assumption, absolutely put in a proper exhaust system. I would have brought it down to 1 high-powered fan to remove and circulate that air over and over again instead of just adding more and more fans until I got enough to get rid of it. It cannot be enough in terms of the CFM of that fan. You want to go overkill and you don't want to skimp on it, and that's the second thing I would have done. Third thing I would have done is go straight to enclosed cases. Now, this is kind of a matter of opinion, and it depends on your circumstances. My warehouse does not have AC, and so I'm just pulling in ambient air that is at many times hotter than it is outside. Having the rigs in enclosed cases allows me to add fans on the cases themselves, and so I can force a high volume of air over those cards, and once I get it out the back, then I can figure out something to do with it. It gave me more in terms of flexibility, bringing things down a few degrees C rather than an open air rig, and then you're just trying to control wind torrents and currents and things like that, and it's really hard to keep it from circulating back around on those open style rigs. So if I was setting up a large operation again, absolutely positively would have went for enclosed cases. Fourth thing I would have done is known what to mine ahead of time. I just kind of got into mining because everyone was making money mining, and I just kind of jumped in, and then when I had my first rig, I thought, well, what do I mine now? At the time, it was Ethereum, but Ethereum was well on its way up. Ethereum was already worth like $300 at that point. That's back in 2017. I jumped around thing to thing, mining whatever was promised to be the next moonshot coin, and we all know how that worked out. I think it's absolutely crucial, if I was getting back into mining, to know ahead of time that there is some sort of sanctuary to run to in terms of something to mine, something that will always be there and be at least a little bit profitable, or at least break even on. Right now, nothing really exists for that. Grin has been the darling coin here for the past few months, I guess. There's no telling whether or not that's going to stick around. There is no coin that everyone really runs to. Ethereum moving to ProgPow could be that coin, but I think there's probably a lot of issues that go along with that if everybody runs to that and Monero. I don't think the networks can really support something like that. Now, a lot of people have gotten out of mining, and that's great for network difficulty and increasing your block share at the pool. However, it's just not certain enough, but nothing in cryptocurrency is. The last thing I would do is take a look at this graph. Do not get in during these times. Now, a lot of you are going to say, why wouldn't you get in at the start of the run-up? Because, in my opinion, it's too late to get in. Even if you can get cheap hardware prices right before that line goes parabolic. First of all, no one knows when the line's going to go parabolic. Second of all, you've not had enough time mining to accumulate enough to really cash out for mega profits there. These things move very quickly, at least it did in 2017. So by the time I had miners set up and operating, many weeks had gone by, and it wasn't really enough time to mine enough to ROI these things. And so I think there comes a point right before that thing goes parabolic when you know that it's really too late to get in for you to ROI very quickly. Additionally, you obviously don't want to buy in when everybody's buying cards, and you really don't want to buy in on the downswing because people are still selling hardware for way more than it's worth. You want to wait until things shake out, a period like right now when cards are extremely inexpensive. I sold off all my cards for about a third of what I paid for them. I'm still holding it in Bitcoin with the idea that it goes back up and I cash out and I get a return on investment, but you already know that. Absolutely positively, I would not have considered or even had the thought cross my mind to get in during that time of parabolicus or whatever it is when the market's going up. I would stay the hell out. I would just sit on the sidelines and wait for things to shake out. Again, stay tuned for an upcoming video where we go through in a little bit more detail. It should be a multi-part series on how to set up a small mining farm based on the experience that I had building out my 100 plus GPU mining farm. We'll also get into FPGA and ASIC just a little bit based on the small amount of experience that I had. Maybe that will help someone who's interested in getting in mining, setting up a small operation, especially now when hardware prices are so low. If you like this Grin pin that I'm wearing, you can pick one up right now over at thetechnicals.io. We have 4 different pin types over there. Also t-shirts and other things. You can also buy t-shirts in the merch shelf listed below this video. See description below for social media links and everything we talked about here today. I'm The Technicals. See you next time.